Hello, Mark. This has been a long time coming. I am super excited to be here. Hello, everyone. I am Ceah Justice. I am just an unapologetic dope soul from District 25 in Greenville, South Kakalaki. I know that always shakes them up. And if you know about District 25, then you know, right?
Yeah.
In my job, I have the opportunity to help employee resource group leaders influence change at RTX, formerly Raytheon Technologies. And by night, like you said, CEO of the BU company, I have an opportunity to help people unleash their superpower through the power of authenticity. And I'm excited to be here today.
As you talk about that, and DEI, I think that this show's decidedly not political. So I'm not going to go on the political side of that. However, on the ethical and the moral side of that, seeing large corporations now lean in big time to having, DEI leadership at the big table, at the C-suite. Tell us about that transformation and kind of maybe go back a couple years when that was really hard for you to convince, but now it seems a little easier to have that conversation.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I think if we go back 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and the situation that happened with George Floyd, that really put, in my opinion, DE&I on the map, right? In terms of creating environments or creating real teams of DE&I professionals. Now, the work of DE&I, I've been doing this work for 25 plus years, so it's new. But in terms of, getting companies to buy into the notion that diversity, right, makes your company better, it's gotten a whole lot easier. All of the research is out there. All of the studies show, right, that when we have diverse teams, that we're better for it. And so right now, it really isn't about convincing companies to invest, right, to bring people to the table, to have these D&I conversations. Right now, it really is about getting them in the game for the long haul, right? A lot of times we see DE&I become an initiative. And so when times get hard, what gets cut? DE&I, first thing to go, first thing to go. Well, that tells me it's not rooted in your DNA, right? We're not chopping off arms and legs, right, when we get sick. And so for me, it is getting organizations or convincing organizations to take those steps, right, that helps them stay in this DE&I game for the long haul.
So I've got a lot of experience working with chief talent officers, right? So I think the more evolved corporations went from having just an HR to having a chief talent officer. So really looking at the people in the organization as an asset. We had someone on the show a few months ago who said, why is our talent listed as a liability on our P&L and not as an asset on the P&L? And he's a big advocate of that. He says, well, okay, go talk to the FASB folks and see if you can get all the accounting systems to change. But the point was to think about our people that way. So that led to training and development investments, which also got cut now, which leads to DE&I, which you're talking about. What are the convincing arguments that you make to them of why they shouldn't be cutting to that?
One of the things that you said, initially was, it's a moral standpoint. And the first thing right, that the leaders of these companies, they're still people. And so they are, guided by this moral compass that you and I and the rest of us are guided by. And so for me, understanding one, that they're people, it really comes down to framing the argument, not just from that moral standpoint, but also in terms of tangible business benefits.
Right. That's where I was going.
Yeah. And so if you think about where we are right now, Mark, we are in the age of cancel culture. You do one thing wrong and we will cancel your butt, right?
Yeah, see ya.
And so one way that I talk to a lot of businesses is about brand reputation and loyalty, right? about the consumers that we have now, they're more inclined to support brands that are more socially responsible, right?
Yep.
That align
Yep.
with their values.
Yep.
And again, thinking about social media, one single negative incident related to any type of social issue could have significant reputation damage, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you start talking about ruining a company's, reputation, you start talking about the loyalty of their customers. And then the other thing you kind of hit on it was employee satisfaction and retention, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got millennials entering the workforce now. We have these Gen Zs that are in the workforce now,
Right.
and they are not signing up just for a paycheck, right? They want to be someplace where they belong.
Yeah.
They want to be someplace where they look forward to getting up and coming to work every day. And so when you start talking about DE&I impacting turnover rates, when you start talking about the savings and recruitment and training costs, right? When we put it front and center, now you start talking about, implementing or impacting the bottom line. And so now you got their attention, right?
I was working with a chief talent officer in New York City probably 10 years ago. And she told me that it cost them about $25,000 to onboard a new employee.
Mm-hmm.
Their workforce was primarily millennial and that they were job hoppers. They would spend 18 to 20 months there and then move up and then move up. And what could we do to have some loyalty to the brand and stay there? And that's where we put in training and development. We put in lots of programs to do these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, $25,000. And what's the rate? She says, oh, we have like a 39% turnover rate. So do the math on that, right? Do the math. So I want to go I want to stay on this generational thing, because what's interesting right now that I've been studying is that there are 5 generations in the workforce, right? We have from Zoomers to Boomers, right? And even just a little bit of the old guard, right? The quiet generation, right? There's just they're mostly on boards of directors, right? Those guys are the Boomers, old white guys, right? Running and making these decisions. We're all terming out because we're all retiring, and we have Gen X coming in and filling those voids. So my question for you, because you're an expert in this area, how in tune to this is Gen X? I know millennials and the Zoomers, I'm good, but is Gen X on board with this movement?
I think so. I absolutely think so. I mean, I think when we begin to think about challenging limiting beliefs, when we begin to think about shifting a narrative away from what we've always been taught, right? We definitely in this game, because we're the ones, to your point, we're leading the millennials, we're leading the Gen X's. And so if we don't get on board, right, and begin to understand what makes them tick, we're going to be out. Right. So we're absolutely in this game. I think a lot of us, right, including myself, we're in this game because this impacts us. It impacts our children's, it impacts, generations to come. And so you think about, my generation of folks that are in this race right now. Again, I feel like we're even more active, right?
Oh.
In this fight. I mean, that's just my opinion, Mark. That's just me.
Well, you're an activist.
Myself, right?
You're used to being in front of the camera and lights. I mean, you were in broadcast journalism, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what did that experience? Because I love that. How does that experience helped you as you're carrying this torch right now?
Well, I think about the work that I do every single day, and the space that I have to stand in is courage, right, and confidence to be able to speak out against injustice, to be able to stand up almost as a co-conspirator, right, in the fight, and put up some risk against injustice. So I don't know. I mean, you just made this whole connection between theater and what I do. I never thought about it that way, but now that you're making me think about it, I don't know. I guess maybe the confidence, right?
That's exactly what it is. Because one of the things that has got me it challenges me is in a lot of the women that I work with who are high-powered thought leader women, they still struggle with confidence. Yet the ones who have a theater background, sports background, military background, or public service background, they do not have a confidence challenge.
All right. Well, I'm checking all four of those boxes, by the way. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why, I've always been like this though, Mark. Like I've trust me, I've been kicked out of a lot of Sunday school classes and in meetings because, I've never had a problem raising my voice. I think it was the opposite. I think because I've always been so vocal, I fit into the broadcast journalism space. I fit into the theater space. But I really believe that this is just how I am.
There you go. Now let's shift a little bit over to the transformative effects. How can you give us an example of a company pre Ceah Justice and post Ceah Justice where you've been able? I mean, they said, "Come on in, lay hands on this organization, and do what you need to do." Right. Give us a before and after on that.
Ooh, a before and after.
Yeah, it's the
Goodness.
bikini body before and then after the diet. So it's that kind of thing. People
Well,
love before and after.
okay. How about this? This is people go see this and people go hear about this. Lord, Mark, you could prepare me for these kind of questions. No, I would really, if I had to give an example, I would use the example of what I'm doing right now. About 2 years ago, I made the transition through a lot of mindset work and self-development to leave a very thriving career at T-Mobile. And I left at the height of my career, right? Best in class in what I was doing, next in line for the promotion. And people thought I was nuts, right? And I went to where I am right now, RTX. And my position was a very unique position. They created this position for me to come in. And the company, when I came in, it's so crazy. 2 years ago, even today, it's not the same company it was 2 years ago. When I walked in the door, we have 4 business units, and each one of those business units have and function as a separate business, right? We're all up under one umbrella, but they had their own HR, they had their own DEI, they had their own employee resource groups. And if you think about you are an employee within this company, RTX, your experience should be the same, regardless of what business unit you are affiliated with.
Sure.
And so one of the things that I've done, 25 plus years of experience leading and developing people, while the company has changed, the title has changed, my blueprint to success has not. And that blueprint is rooted in creating cultures where people are the center. And so coming over into this space, transitioning from leadership and development, now being full-time in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and leading these employee resource group leaders, I didn't change my approach. I treated this leadership or the employee resource group just like a leadership development program. So when you think about it, if we, everything is a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
We're at work, we're just at work. We're also parents, we're also friends, we're also siblings. And so I don't know, Mark, I have this crazy idea that if I could challenge people's mindsets at work, if I can help them be global inclusionist mindset leaders at work, it will have a domino effect in their personal
once
life.
They get home.
Yep, once they get home. And so I don't necessarily know if we've seen the end of what this is going to look like because I just implemented it. And I'm about 1.5 years into what this could look like. But what I can tell you is as a result of the model that I put in place, what we see at Raytheon that we didn't have before is our employee resource group leaders are plugged into every function of the business, right? So we're not making changes in our benefits without talking to our employee resource groups. We're not making changes to the partnerships and summits and conferences and where we go to recruit folks without having our resource group leaders sitting at that table. And so that was something that we'd never done before. Again, long haul. If we're in it for the long haul, right, we got to think a little bit more strategically. And so what I've been able to do is elevate our employee resource group leaders. They are no longer just people that create amazing Heritage Month events. No, we are
Right.
about going out and making change within our company so that we as employees have that great experience that we talked about earlier.
The vision we have a Raytheon here in Santa Barbara. It's a holdover from the Cold War. I'm not even sure it's still there, but it was a very big deal at the time. Mm-hmm. And when I think of that, I think of the military industrial complex. Mm-hmm. Right. I do not think of a DEI centric organization at any level. So yes. Hearing that but you're in the parent company. And so how many tens of thousands of employees is this blueprint impacting?
Well, we have 200,000 employees.
There you go.
The that I stood up is global.
There you go. There you go. There you go. See, that's one of the things that I love about this platform is we get to talk to people like you who there's a single individual who's making change at a global level. And hopefully people who see this talk are going to go, well, hold it. There's one woman now, granted, supercharged, who has gone in and figured out how to be at the table, make the decisions that are affecting thousands and thousands of lives. This is perfect because it proves that one of the things I've said for many years, working with the TED programs and speakers, is one idea can change everything. You don't need thousands. You don't need like one person, one idea. Ceah, thank you so much for sharing that idea with us. It's just like you got us all thinking now.
Good. That's the point of these types of conversations, to get you thinking, right? To challenge those limiting beliefs and get you showing up differently. I appreciate the opportunity, Mark.